we've discussed the budget, we've discussed COVID-19. But I have with me a very special guest tonight. He's actually one-time co-host of Newsline over 5.5 years ago. And he's a senior journalist, diplomat, and a voracious writer and a voracious reader too. He's right here because he's had his own battle with, well, I'll say it this way. The man has landed on the moon, man has done all sorts of things, but they haven't sorted out cancer. And my dear friend, fellow broadcaster, Bandula Jayasekara is with me this evening to talk about his story, one day at a time. Very good evening to you, Bandula. It's lovely seeing you on the program.
Good evening, Faraz, and thank you for having me. I'm also happy to be back.
I'm so happy. Indeed, we all are. Bandula, lest people don't know, you've been diagnosed with a form of blood cancer.
Blood cancer, yes.
And what's it called?
It started as MDS, myelodysplasia. Now it has turned to leukemia, which is dangerous.
Right.
And I would say I'm more or less I'm terminally ill now because it can't be cured anymore.
Right. And Bandula, you are actually a victim, an indirect victim of COVID-19, because when were you diagnosed?
Last year, July, end of July. We need to educate the masses about the symptoms.
The symptoms, yes. How did you find out?
No, because for 2 months I had shortness of breath. I was feeling tired. I was losing my appetite. But I ignored it completely. But I was telling my friends and all, look, I have this. But one day I must pay tribute to one of my classmates who is a viewer of my Pathikada.
Yes, the Pathikada
viewers. One of my classmates from New York, Viraj Yatavara, with all respect I'll mention his name, he sent me a message saying that you have shortness of breath, you are in denial, why can't you go to a doctor? That really woke me up. And then, I hope I have the liberty, and with all respect, I want to mention Shevan's name.
Yeah.
Then I told this to Shevan. Shevan said, rush, go to a doctor immediately. He said, the shortness of breath is no good. So then only, immediately the doctors found that I had MDS, which is a blood cancer.
But back then in July, you were diagnosed with that, but the hopes were quite high that with appropriate treatment, you would be able to conquer this.
Yeah.
And then came the COVID.
Yeah, so that also let me explain. So then the doctors said the only cure is a bone marrow transplant. There's no other cure, and this particular bone marrow transplant cannot be done in Sri Lanka. Certain transplants can be done in Sri Lanka, this one. So in August I went to Singapore,
yeah,
the National University Hospital. So then I have gone through 6 bone marrow tests. Just to explain, that's like they drill your back here.
Yeah.
That's how a bone marrow test is done. So they also said only cure is this, but I'll also be honest, the viewers should know. So we were very worried about the cost. So I asked the doctors, what happens if I don't do the bone marrow test? Then they said, why are you questioning like that? Because there's a cure. If not, you have 2 years to live.
2 years.
2 years to live. That was last September. They said, because I got this in July. So they said there's a cure. So then, of course, everybody knows we made appeals because the cost is so high.
Indeed.
Very high, because either you can be done in Singapore or India for Sri Lankans. Then in December, I was trying to go. So I was unfortunate. Then we found a donor. Then the doctors in Singapore found a 25-year-old tumor in these donors. So then they said, no, we can't do it.
Right.
So I lost that chance. Then by February, everything was ready. We found a donor, everything was ready. So we had sufficient funds. But then COVID came for us. So then it took 10 months for me to get to Singapore in October. Then it was too late, it has spread. So they said, we can't do the transplant.
But not before they drilled into you several times.
Yes, they did it thrice. So altogether they have drilled my back 6 times, not easy.
Was it painful?
Yeah, with minor anesthesia, but still it was painful, but I had to go through that.
You endured the pain?
Yes.
In the pursuit of life?
I mean, I had no choice. I wouldn't say in pursuit of life, I had no choice. Now, last 18 months, every day or every other day, the blood tests have been done. So there are sometimes they found it difficult to take blood. Then the cannula marks to give blood transfusions, platelets or antibiotics. So I have gone through all that. So, but the COVID is the one. I am a victim of COVID. Not only me, I am sure there are lakhs in this world who are victims of these cancer patients and other patients.
You were unable to travel to Singapore?
Yes, for 10 months because Singapore closed, then Sri Lanka closed, but Singapore was very kind enough to get the approval from Ministry of Health and the hospital.
But may I ask, when you were diagnosed here in Sri Lanka, there was always this hope that you can have a bone marrow transplant and so on.
And get cured, yes.
And get cured, and it was rather positive. But when you eventually managed to get to Singapore after all these regulations and so on and so forth, and how did you feel when the doctor there, after having drilled into you and so on, and did their test, and when this doctor told you that there is no hope, that there's no point doing the transplant, the bone marrow transplant, how did you feel at that time?
No, I must tell you, because you also know him, I have a godlike brother who is 1 year older, whom you also want to adopt.
Indeed.
Right?
Rohana
Jayasekara. He's 1 year old. He took lots of trouble and took me because I couldn't write, I couldn't even send an email. He came down from Melbourne, he spent time and he took me to Singapore. He was with me right through, because I want to come to your question. Then this doctor spent 2.5 hours time mainly explaining to him. I was listening. She drew charts, then she explained in detail that transplant can't be done. Why don't you enjoy the rest of your life? But trust me, Faraz, when she explained, my brother looked at me. I felt relieved. I felt there was something I knew. Okay.
You felt relieved?
Yeah, I felt relieved. There was no fear in me. I knew that she said, you can't be cured. That I have to go for palliative care. It was given in writing, palliative care and then transfusions. So she said, you should not be hurt, not worth going through chemo. And also with respect to the Singapore doctors, I must say, they reduced my medicine. They reduced
it?
Yeah, they let me eat anything, so it helped me. Otherwise, I was not in a position on 27th of October to speak like this. I feel much more lighter now.
Bandula, you've been a voracious reader, a prolific writer. Do you still do those things?
No, I haven't written for a long time. I haven't been able to read for a long time. But recently from November, now I told you before I went to Singapore, I was hunched up on bed like this. Yeah. I was gone. Now last program I did, Pratikada, was July 7th. After that I haven't been able to do it. So I couldn't. But when I went to Singapore, the whole thing I didn't, because they let me eat anything. So I got some energy. So now I'm into meditative coloring. I color.
Right.
I was given books to color. I color books.
Indeed.
Then I watch some TV now.
Indeed.
Those two I can do, but I want to write, but I don't want to go back to my past, Faraz, because it hurts. I don't look at my old photographs because the past is past, so I live in the present.
Bandula, who's more upset? Are you upset, or is it your family and friends?
I think my family is happy that I have accepted it. So they are standing by me. My immediate family, like it's my brother whom I'm very close to, and he and my sister-in-law and the 2 kids, and of course my other brothers and my friends.
I know you've probably taken care of all your last wills and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But my question to you is a bit more than that. How do you manage to cope? I mean, the difference between you and all of us is that you've got a shorter time span, whereas we don't know. It could be tomorrow, it could be whenever. But they've told you. How do you cope? Have you let go? How do you cope?
It's not easy, because I know it's always sad to say goodbyes in life. Right? It's like you have a death sentence, but the same way, like lots of my friends have told me, same way what you said for us, that they might go before me.
Indeed.
Right? There's few of them who have encouraged, who has given me donations, left before me, which I've been very heartbroken, but it's not easy. So I feel you got to let go, but what else can you do? You have no choice. So I try to live each day. I want to be happy. I want to do little things. So my wants have been very less in life. I've led a very simple life, so it's easy to let go for us. And I'll be honest with you, I have never been scared of death, because you might laugh. I used to always tell my mother, I want to die at 40. She used to say, you're crazy. Right? You die. So, but she inculcated in us that nothing is permanent. She rubbed it on us from small days. I think that it helped me to face this. But at the beginning I was upset, I was scared. Take April, I was. But I mean, I have gone through pain a lot. It's been very painful.
Indeed, I can see. I don't know if the viewers can actually notice, but being quite close to you at a safe distance, I can see that you've got marks all over. It must have been painful.
It's been painful. I mean, you get pricked and, cannulas. It's very difficult, but I always look at the other side. But I have faced it.
But you've come to terms with it.
I come to terms, but some say miracles would happen, but I never want to live for a long time. People will laugh, but I was never greedy for life. Even my first appeal for donations, I've said I'm never greedy for life, but I like to live few more years. So I never had that greed. I never wanted to collect things. So it has helped. So when you can let go, it helps. It really helps.
That's very. I know that you are a Buddhist.
Mixed, but more Buddhist.
You're more Buddhist, and it's one of those cornerstones, isn't it, where you mustn't get attached to anything or anyone.
Yeah, so it helps.
And does that help you?
It has helped me a lot for us. It has helped me a lot, but same way I have got lots of love and affection from so many people who have given me courage, but nobody, when I tell people now, okay, I'm terminally ill, I have few months more, nobody will tell you, look, no, you are dying. They'll say, no, you'll be all right. But I say, come on, let's accept, because when I tell them, give me courage to accept it, because I know the truth, I have it in writing. I can feel, I know it's spreading in my system, I know. But same way people say miracles happen, but I don't want. I think it's been very painful for us, to be very honest with you. 18 months, the more you let go, it helps. It really helps.
The more you let go, it helps. We're in conversation with the broadcaster Bandula Jayasekara, one day at a time. We'll see you on the other side of this short break.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
And welcome back to Newsline Live. I'm in conversation with the broadcaster and journalist Bandula Jayasekara, friend of our network, and he's right here. Bandula.
I'm not a friend, I'm a part of the network.
Of course you are.
So I have to correct you.
Thank you. Thank you. See, you still got this part.
Yeah.
Bandula, I have got to ask you this question. You know that you're going to be saying goodbye to all of us soon rather than later. When you reflect on your life now, all these years, you've been a diplomat, you've been the spokesperson for President Bandula Jayasekara, you've met world leaders, you've been there, done it all, got the cap and all that business. Any regrets?
I mean, since I'm being very open and honest, so I regret for not being a young father. Growing up, that was a dream, I couldn't, but then I don't want to think about it. That was one of my regrets, but I don't want to think about all this.
Are man's landed on the moon, they've done all sorts of jolly things, and, there's electric cars and God knows what. The bond scammers have apparently got away with it, and Parliament is still full of rogues, or most of them and all that. Do you feel that somehow that you've been cheated of some of your life?
No, we all have been cheated. I remember writing a poem to the Sun newspaper called The Robbery after my first job. How I was a management trainee, how they extended my training period every 6 months, promised me I was on 250 rupees salary.
Right.
So I wrote this poem called Robbery. So we all have gone through it, but I have no anger or hatred. The more you put this behind you, it helps you.
So you truly have to let go?
Yeah, I have. Because I don't keep it. I don't keep anything here. I like to sleep like a child. I know I would have hurt people because you are blunt. We are blunt. We speak openly. But that doesn't mean that I think, because that's the way it is.
Is there anything that you wanted to do but you haven't done? And you think that, I wish I had more time? Do you ever think, I wish I had more time?
Of course, I wanted to act. I always wanted to act. And then I wrote to Lester James Pierce from Trinity, said, why didn't you come to Kandy and select people? And then he invited me over. But then when I came to Colombo, I lost interest. I went with my famous friend, late Ajit Samaranayaka. And I said, why are you selecting actors from Gampaha and Colombo? Because he came as a chief guest to Trinity. But these are all, but I have no regrets that way, Faraz. I've been blessed in a way. I got good opportunities. One door closed, another door open.
Bandula, as you prepare for your final journey, your long journey, what do you think? Do you think that we can be in touch?
Of course. But it's funny. Like, okay, doctors have told me that I have less time, few months. I might go off before July, but miracles can happen. But people can, like you said, go before you. I know many people who supported me, funded me, left me, and who really encouraged me to go for the transplant, left before me. These things happen. So, I live for the day. And there's this famous song, One Day at a Time, Sweet Jesus. It's a beautiful song, I think, loved and sung by everybody alike. I think I take one day at a time, it helps you.
Bandula, you seem to have come to terms with what's happening to you. I'm not entirely certain that your friends and your family have actually.
So that is why this palliative care, I have 2 doctors who are helping me, like my close staff who are helping, so they will speak to them, because it's important. This palliative care is not, doctors in Sri Lanka doesn't want to practice.
Are you in pain now when you talk to me?
See, my pain is lesser now, because I had lesser medicine, less antibiotics, less transfusions. Otherwise, I was not in a position to speak like this. So I should not be saying this, but unfortunately in Sri Lanka, they kill you, the doctors, with lots of medicine.
And since you've gone from Singapore, have you your medicine's been reduced?
Reduced, and I return, and I'm continuing with that. So it's helpful. I think we should, this palliative care is, to keep that, the terminally ill people happy. So I'm happier. Like I said, when the doctor explained to my brother that there's no cure, and my brother looked at me, I feel relieved, I feel happy. But now I didn't expect that I could come like this and speak to you.
Well, I'm happy you're here, but I'm sad that you're going.
No, never know. You might go before me.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
No, because I'm not, Faraz, I don't want to mention names.
Yeah.
But there was a Supreme Court judge who's close, a relative of mine, a friend who gave me funds and encouraged, go for it, Bandula, take the accent cut, go for the bone marrow transplant. He left before me, which I am very saddened. So like that, not that I wish you to go before me.
Yeah, but I might go because I'm going to miss your friendship, your camaraderie, your experience, and my only hope is that you might leave me your little black book. But
I don't have a black book or a blue book. I don't have. I have nothing. In fact, I have said.
How do you want to be remembered?
You may not believe what I'm saying. I like to be forgotten. Except my last will, I have said, I have made a request that I'm a romantic fool, Faraz. So I have said I want a bugler playing, because I watched this movie From Here to Eternity, the famous movie where Montgomery Clift plays the bugle. So I have said it, I want a bugler to play, but I don't want to. I think the sooner we are forgotten, it helps.
Is that all part of this palliative care?
Yeah, I think you must let go. It helps. We will remember people anyway. Now, there is no, every day I remember my brother who died, my father, mother, they are all here. But I like to be, you don't have to go through this, because I think
you've had an amazing lifetime. You've met all these people. You once told me you met the Dalai Lama.
I met him twice.
Indeed.
But he told me very interesting. He said everybody thinks that I'm enlightened and all that. He said I'm an ordinary human being.
I want to ask you this, Bandula, as you know, when you finished with President Rajapaksa and so on, and lots of people would have found it absolutely impossible to believe that you ended up working at the Capital Maharaja Group, and you went on to have your very successful Patikada. You helped launch Newsline, if you remember, you co-host with me. Surely, when you leave your friends, what do you feel about leaving us here?
If I want to start for us a gratitude journal, which I learned from one of the doctors who are advising me. She said, keep a gratitude journal. I was without a job for 6 months after I left Australia. So I'm grateful that I was given a second lease of life by chairman, and that's part of my, when I'm going to open very soon, start my gratitude journal, I will mention the name. So when this doctor told me, Bandula, you should start a gratitude journal, I liked the idea. That was a part of her counseling. So I want to do that. There are so many people I am grateful for. I am grateful for this moment, for giving this moment. I am grateful for the next, grateful for tomorrow. If I wake up, I will be grateful. So that coming back, this one day at a time is the most important.
Do you think you'll know when you'll be going?
I hope I will know.
That you'll be aware?
Yeah, but I'll be honest also, I will prefer sooner I go, I'm happier, because it's not easy for us, it's painful. This cancer is painful. Because I have friends, I have lost friends, I know it's painful. I can't go through these cannulas and...
Bandula, as we come to the end of this program, because it's time for the primetime news from News First. I have this mega urge to envelope you in a big bear hug, but COVID prevents me from doing that. But you have my big hug. You've been marvelous. You've been a wonderful friend, and with the network you've made such contribution.
And I'm going to start work from January.
You're going to start work from January. You can catch Bandula Jayasekara on Pathikada. But all hugs, Bandula. You may say it's not sad, but believe me, it's absolutely sad. It really is. But thank you for being on Newsline.
Thank you for having me.
And that's the way it was on Newsline Live this evening. It's now time for the primetime news from News First. Take care, and as always, God bless you.